On today's episode of Wrong Side, we go over a disastrous weekend in college football for us, a look ahead to the upcoming games coming up in college football, a Bears and Cowboys recap of week 6, heading into the double bye week for the Bears, Cowboys, and Buckeyes, a quick update on the MLB Playoffs, and clutch moment of the week following with Outside the Line. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side.
Welcome back, Wrong Siders. Today is October 16th, and we are dead. We are dead. Back in 6-7 months ago at this point, when Michael and I started this podcast, we talked about getting into football season, really hitting our stride. The Bears, the Cowboys, and most importantly, the world-famous Ohio State motherfucking Buckeyes were supposed to be our claim to fame as we headed into football season. Unfortunately, that is not the case. These are the days where it really hurts to have to pick up the mic. It really hurts to have you all in the comment section telling us about how horrible of a team we are, how we can't get past it, how we're still 90 feet away from home plate because we were born on third base and are going to stay there for the rest of fucking time. It's a bad day. It's a bad day for Wrong Siders. It's a bad day for Buckeye fans. Fortunately, it's not that bad of a day for Bears fans, but we'll get there a little bit later. And before we get into it, about the Buckeyes, we are going to sound very, very privileged in this next hour. This absolutely disgusting, abysmal, sickening hour that we are about to grace our listeners with. We are fortunate as Ohio State Buckeye fans to be able to play in these marquee games, number 2 versus number 3, number 3 versus number 4, Ohio State versus Oregon last Saturday night was one of those games. Unfortunately, Ryan Day, that terrorist, is our head coach, and he is 1-8 in those marquee games that you're supposed to hang your hat on as an Ohio State Buckeye head coach, as an Ohio State Buckeye fan, player. The list goes on and on and on. There were problems. We, as smart sports fans, have been trying to break down the game, break down this team for years now as we keep running into these marquee games and coming up short in them. And nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We're hitting the panic button hard. We are upset. We know we can still make the 12-team playoff. We can still have a route to Indianapolis and compete for the Big Ten championship, but things are looking bad right now. We're going to get into it. We're all very sad. Everyone who I've been texting, it's been the longest Monday of our lives, and life's not good right now. So, Michael, I'll start out with you. What do you think of last Saturday night?
Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad night. Calendar was circled on October 12th for months now. Everyone was talking about how great the day was going to be. Day started great. There was Red River was great. Penn State was great. There were some good games throughout the day. And, finally it's 4:30 Pacific time. Finally, the game is finally going to start. It felt like it took forever. I felt like from the end of the Guardians playoff game to the start of the Buckeyes game, it felt like it was like 6 hours, even though it was like 2.5. It was not good. It was not good. I think from top to bottom, I think that's just how you say it. Am I upset? Yes. Do I think we are the better team? Yes.
Still, yes, I agree.
Have I lost faith in them? No. I think they are now, unfortunately, at a position where their backs against the wall. They are at a point where now they have to fight to get back in the mix. They're going to have to fight to stay in the mix. They're going to have to fight to get to Indy. They're going to have to fight to get to the playoff. We said it about 2-3 weeks ago before they started the mini gauntlet, we called it. We started off with Iowa, which obviously Iowa's not the best offense, but a good defense. We felt like that was a formidable test heading into Oregon and give us a little practice after kind of weak out of conference games and Michigan State. But game, I thought, could not have started perfectly, or could not have started even better than it did. Plays were running well. Everyone looked juiced. The team looked excited. We had that play that was, a questionable interception, whatever. Not even an apologize for that. Those plays happen. you didn't even know who had the ball. I don't even
Yeah.
think if they reviewed it, they would have known. And that first drive, we end with like a great run to the end zone. We get a play by Will Howard to read player option, they're running in. It's 7-0 right off the bat. And I thought, wow, that was pretty damn awesome. Pretty damn awesome. Walked into their house, showed them where the Ohio State Buckeyes. And after that, it kind of became a back and forth game. And we got lucky here and there with, a botched extra point and they pick and for going for two. And there were so many weird things that happened. But the story of the line, I was definitely bummed out at the end. Losing by 1 point sucks. Losing in a slanto type fashion was not good. But to me, I my takeaways were the D line is bad, or the D line is okay. I think we have elite players that play at an okay level. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Denzel Burke was disgustingly bad. 8 targets, 8 catches for 179 yards and 2 tutties. He had given up 1 touchdown in his last 18 games heading into that game, which was just so shocking. He was probably the most consistent player over the last 2 years. And, you know, I think a lot of people are upset or they got on Will Howard for that last play, the Dak Prescott Vietnam flashback I had. But just similar to Dak, I don't hate the play. I think the play was
No.
still really good. I think he just didn't go down 2 yards sooner. I think it would have been. I think it comes to the point where would you rather have had it end like that or at a chance for about a 49-yard field goal and maybe a miss, maybe a make. You never know with college kickers. So comes down to that. We've already lived the missed kick, so I think people know which one's worse. Like yes, they can
Yep.
debate now, but let me first out say 100% have not lost faith in the offense. The offense is humming. I would go even as far as to say that was Will Howard's best game of his career, not as a Buckeye, as his career. I think it was better than when
Not
they beat.
ridiculous.
I think it was better than when he took Texas last year to the overtime and when he beat TCU in the Big 12 game a couple years ago. That being said, the offense, when you score 31 points, you think you should be able to win a football game. It did not. Defense faltered when it mattered most. I think Ryan Day deserves his fair share of blame, but I don't even think Ryan Day had a bad game. I think my blame towards Ryan Day is that he's kept Jim Knowles around. He's kept Larry Johnson around. That's where the blame lands Ryan Day. And I think still, I don't think Jim Knowles is a bad coordinator. I don't think Larry Johnson is a bad coach, but those guys come up empty in games like this. And it's been like that for 2 years. The last 3 top 5 matchups, Ohio State's 0-3 with a combined plus minus of -8 through those 3 games, -8, 2 1-point losses, and a 6-point loss. Can't really get much closer than that. And the worst part is it's not like we threw a pick with maybe a minute left or 2 minutes left and the team ran the ball out on us. We were every single one of those games in the last 3 top 5 matchups, we've had a chance to win it. Missed kick, driving on Michigan, and now this game. So a disastrous end to Saturday night.
It was bad. I'm in full agreement with you. You cannot blame Will Howard at all. There was some weirdness in the game, as you talked about. There was the surprise onside kick that when it comes down to 1 point, very easily could have been the game. If they decide to just kick it off there, we drive down the field, we get a field goal, a touchdown, we change the possession game, the field position game. It's a completely different game. Dan Lanning, big pair of balls on that guy. We knew that after last year when they beat up on Colorado and had a great season last year. And unfortunately, it all still goes back to Ryan Day. I don't know if we were saying this over the weekend or previously, that the team at times feels Ryan Day's nervousness. We said going into this year, he became the best GM in the country. His back was against the wall going into this year. Then you take a look at the schedule. Oregon looks great. Indiana's ranked. Nebraska's right there. Iowa's not bad. We have a tough schedule. And to lose the first game in the gauntlet is pretty brutal. And I just can't get over the fact that and I agree it wasn't Ryan Day's fault. The offense was great. Will Howard was fantastic. There was an unfortunate turnover that I'm going to call a clean slate for the potential interception early in the game, but it's a difference in cultures. Oregon was 0-19-1 all time versus top 2 teams going into this game. Ryan Day is 1-8, and I think it's top 5 matchups in his career as a Buckeye. In these last ranked games for Ohio State, Michigan 2022, Georgia 22, Michigan 23, Mizzou 23 in the Cotton Bowl last year, and Oregon 2024. The defense didn't force a fourth quarter punt in any of those games. Across those games and maybe a couple other Michigan games included, we have 2 sacks on those games, where Oregon comes in as a team that had some question marks on the O-line. They've moved some people around. They've had trouble protecting Dillon Gabriel up until this point. We knew Dillon Gabriel had a 77% completion percentage, one of the top in the country going into this game. And we run a 4-2-5 scheme, meaning we have 5 DBs back there to hopefully limit the big play. That was a problem of ours in like 2022, really limited it in 2023 for the most part. Now you're back to 2024, and Ohio State seems to be one of those teams that reverts back to bad habits when things get tough. I don't know why we're a top 3 defense game in and game out throughout the rest of the year, and suddenly we are against one of the most pass-heavy teams in the country. We're rushing 2 and have 5 guys just standing in the middle of the field doing nothing, and we're in man coverage against an absolutely lethal passer. He has been Dillon Gabriel basically launched his Heisman campaign on Saturday night. He's been a point guard all year, just distributing the football to many guys. He doesn't have a favorite target. They don't have a Jeremiah Smith, like a true number 1 winner, but they kind of had that against Denzel Burke, who's supposed to be one of our best guys. We're supposed to be returning all these stud DBs, best in America, and Denzel Burke single-handedly gave up the large majority of their passing game and both of their passing touchdowns. So I don't know what to do. A couple stats that I heard today was Larry Johnson and Jim Knowles have been in a sort of cold war since he got there. Jim Knowles is a guy who likes to rotate his defensive linemen, make sure fresh legs are out there at all times. Larry Johnson has always been a guy. He has a couple of his studs that he wants out there as much as humanly possible, which 2 schools of thought there, not that one's right and one's wrong, but just the fact that I know Larry Johnson, like he has a great track record at Ohio State that is now plummeting quickly. How does the defensive coordinator not have final say? Just to have something like that going on, like behind the scenes, is just kind of indicative of like what the culture is. Like we're kind of focused on the wrong things. Like maybe Larry Johnson's tradition, like you need to take a look in the mirror and adjust. And we don't seem to be able to do that. We can't generate pressure when it matters. The moment gets too big. And one thing, I don't want to blame Will Howard. I don't think the moment was too big for him, but people are saying it. There was some nerves in that final drive. There was the 12 men on the field call that now, as I've been sitting on it, I do think was on purpose, which we'll talk about that a little more in a second. It's a great play if it is, and you just kind of got to give it to Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks if that was on purpose. But Will Howard was really trying to get the guys moving when the clock was still running off of the offensive pass interference call. His dropped snap is going to age really poorly. So I think he did well, but just the team in general, even Kyle McCord last year, I was at the Notre Dame game when we had the ball in the final seconds. It's not a poised drive. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's me projecting onto the team. But towards the end of the game, we may be making plays, but it always feels like it's by the skin of our teeth instead of because we're better or prepared or composed. And I'm worried things are still the exact same. We can't generate pressure when we need to. The defense is giving up big plays in the absolute worst moments. It felt like we'd play a great game on defense for 5, 6, 7 plays at a time. And on the 8th play, they go over the top on us. And we just can't step on their necks and put them out of the game. We played very well, very, very well for large stretches of that game, but the defense gave it away on us. We saw it coming from a mile away. Knowledge is a burden. I am heartbroken. We are heading into one of our toughest schedules, and I think the last couple of years, and our back is already against the wall. We said it's championship or bust. Now it's playoff start now. So not to say we're out of it, but I'm very upset. The culture is poor. The defense is still not there. It wasn't there when it was Kerry Coombs 3 or 4 years ago. It's not there with Jim Knowles now. I don't know what needs to change, but it was atrocious. We got absolutely handled by Dan Lanning in Oregon.
I want to say half of what you said is wrong, personally. I think last year when we played Notre Dame, you talk about poise. Kyle McCord had 4 passes on that one drive that should have been picked off. It was horrible. He was horrible that entire game. He had a pick. He was horrible. We got down. We had 50 seconds left when we had the ball. We were at the 28-yard line in 23 seconds. Will Howard made every throw on that drive. The Ohio State Buckeyes are on the 21-yard line with 22 seconds to go, and then we get a flag on the field.
That was BS.
We are in the game. Will Howard was not Kyle McCord. Will Howard was not unpoised. Will Howard did not mess up. Will Howard, to put in the group chat, I even said it this weekend, to say Kyle McCord's name next to Will Howard, and is again now today, is blasphemy today. Will Howard was perfect. He had, and everybody wants to say, wow, that quarterback's so dumb.
No.
The only thing he's so dumb about is not going down 2 seconds earlier. That's it.
To be clear,
that's his only mistake. I don't even care about the drop snap. I don't care about anything else. He was perfect. He was arguably perfect. If you were to grade out Will Howard with a letter grade, he gets a solid A, and it's an A+ if he goes down 2 yards earlier.
Will Howard was great. I'm not saying Will Howard wasn't poised. There was some nerves on that final drive. I do think that snap is kind of nerves coming through. My main thing, it's situational. It's not necessarily poise in that instance like it has been in the past.
The defense.
Not
agreed, the offense.
But the offensive line not knowing that the clock was going to run on the set of the game, that situational.
It came out that was wrong to me. It came out that was wrong.
What do you mean?
On the PI, that clock should have ran, but on the PI it should have ran. On the 5-man, on the 12-man on the field, the clock should have stopped, reverted back to 10 seconds, and you redo the down. Refs messed up the call.
Are you sure? Because I think
Positive.
That's the NFL ruling. I think that's the NFL ruling.
A college guy, they asked rules officials. They said it used to be 15 yards when the play goes on. They reverted back to 5 3 years ago, but the clock does stop. The refs did not stop the clock, reverting the play. They kept the clock, burned the 4 seconds, and gave the 5 yards. The clock should have stopped. They should have reverted back to 10 seconds. That's not there to blame. Let me put that out there. The refs are not to blame for this game. Refs were arguably fine for this game. But I'm telling you, that rule game out today, the clock should have stopped at 10 seconds, read on and down. So that play.
I hope so.
OPI,
I'm more saying on the OPI, they had to be. They should have been more ready to go. But
I think that was bad. I think not knowing. I don't think it was not knowing the rule. I think they expected the clock to start when the ref got out of the way. Like usually the ref's out there.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. The clock started before the ref even got in there. I think that was the issue.
Oh, okay.
More so, which is still not knowing the rule. It's a different way of not knowing the rule. But I think they were expecting the clock to be like, blow the whistle. Like, we're going to run the clock on my whistle versus we're going to run the clock when I put this ball back. Now, we should have called that timeout.
Little
probably.
Different, yeah.
Now, I've seen people saying when they got to the 28 before the OPI, I've seen people saying that they should have ran the ball a couple times and lined up their kicker. I don't really like that. I really like helping I like the odds of us throwing to our guys and getting closer to the field goal. If we would have gotten stopped once, you have to call a timeout immediately. And then you have one play with really I guess you can throw over the middle of the field because first down stops in college. But that OPI call, and unfortunately, that is the call. I thought it was ticky-tack in the moment.
Yeah. Did not
but
like it.
But that is a call. I think I'm not mad at the call. I know it looked like in the replay the defender did initiate first, but ticky-tack call in the moment. I think you call that in the second quarter, not in the fourth.
Yeah, 100%.
But in my opinion, like the offense, they weren't even phased on that last drive. I thought they got down to the 21 in 40 seconds, and we had one timeout left. We were going to run it 2 times. It was
going to be great.
It was going to be a walk-off field goal. So I think the offense is no near to worry. I think Will Howard I don't even think Will Howard really had many bad throws in that game. I can't even remember. I can't even pick out one. Like, he had a couple bad throws in that Michigan State game. He had one pick, obviously, and another one that got deflected. But I can't even think of. No,
he was fantastic.
I couldn't even think of one.
Fantastic. Maybe we didn't run the ball as much as we should have. Maybe we didn't run it as much as we needed to in the beginning. But we ran the ball pretty well. Not as good as they did, which is another problem I have. But it's back to the defense.
We had, I think, about 30 carries on the ground. Almost. I think Will had a couple, so let's say Will had 4, let's just say. And I know for a fact Travion and Q both had 10. So that's 24 times on the ground, and he threw it 30 plus times probably. So he had almost 60 plays. So again, I think we're upset because the offense didn't score, but I don't think the offense, like,
you can't put that on them. I'm not even on them at all.
I'm not even like looking at the offense. Like, I'm like looking in the corner of defense. I think when we say, it's Ryan Day's fault, I don't think we think, because Ryan Day really is the CEO. He's not calling plays. He's not calling the defense. And surprisingly enough, I actually don't believe, like, Ryan Day has ended up on the bad side of these games a lot. Obviously 1-8 now, I think you said, right? 1-8.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually think Ryan Day gets up for these games more. I see him on the side, like that Georgia game, for example, like, like I know we lose that game, but like that's not Ryan Day's fault. Like
Oh,
Ryan
he
Day's
was
not
locked
giving up.
in.
So like there comes a point where like a coach can only do so much, and he can only, it's like the saying, you can only lead like a squirrel to water. Like you can only lead a blind squirrel to water. Like so, like you can't make him drink. So in that sense, like the Jim Knowles, Larry Johnson situation with like a DN, like I saw some videos today of like Jack Sawyer and JTT like fake rush and they drop in coverage, and I'm like, what are they doing?
What
Like
the hell was that?
what the
Yeah.
hell is that? I see Denzel Burke getting beat. I texted it to you as well that the Buckeyes are gamblers a little on defense, I think. Not in a sense where they're jumping for passes and missing them. I don't think they're very good about not leaving their feet when they don't have to. I think they're very honed in on that. The problem with Ohio State, though, is when they miss one tackle, their instinct isn't to bring him down. Their instinct is to punch out. And we don't have Peanut Tillman. We don't have 11 Peanut Tillmans on our defense. We're not perfect at punching the balls. I think Layson Ransom is phenomenal at it, but
He's good, yeah.
Denzel Burke gets beat on that first deep touchdown, or not. Sorry, it's not a touchdown. They end up getting like within the 5, but that first deep
Yeah.
ball, and he has him at about the 25. If he pushes him out of bounds, he has him. He's out of bounds at the 25. But instead, after he misses the first tackle, he starts trying to rip the ball out instead of trying to get him down, and he gets dragged for 15 yards. So now they're inside the 5. Now they're inside the red zone, and now it's a touchdown easy. You setting yourselves up for failure. In those situations, that's where I think Ryan Day fails. I don't think Ryan Day fails in preparation. I think the offensive scheme is good. I think the players are good. I think Ryan Day fails in the mental preparation for these games. And I don't know if he maybe ignores the defense, because it always seems like it's the defense fault. It never really seems like it's the offense fault. Like last year when we lost to Michigan, like we still lost. We still gave up 30 points on defense. Like we still gave up 30 points. Like it was 30-24. So like at that point in time, something is up with that defense. Like they're either mentally not strong enough, or they can't do in these big moments. So the best thing about it, I think, is your bye week coming at a perfect time. I think that they're coming off the bye to a good Nebraska team, and then they're going to head out to Happy Valley to play Penn State. They're going to have another top 5 matchup again. It's going to be another top 5 matchup. Let's see how good they are. We're going to see if they can do this. If they beat Penn State, and once we get over the Penn State hump, we have Indiana and Michigan left, and we control our own destiny. Crossing 2 time zones, away stadium, hostile environment. Indianapolis is a home game for Ohio State. It's a home game. We've been there a million times. But at this point in time, their backs are against the wall. Let's see what they can do. Boog said it best. We lost to Virginia Tech, I guess, the year we won the Natty. But at this point, 12-team playoff, I'm not really concerned. I think we're going to come out looking – I think there's a very good chance Nebraska is going to catch some, like, anger strays in 2 weeks, unfortunately.
I hope.
But I really think that it's just the defense mentality. That's the issue. So if we're going to blame Ryan Day for anything, it's the mentality of the team, I think, is the issue.
Yeah, which
not
I think
the
is
play
a fair
calling, not anything else. It's the mentality of the team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism. The offense was great for the huge majority of it, and the defense, I don't get it. I know we have a talented defense, talented pass rushers and DBs. We leave them in man coverage a lot, and that lends itself to missed tackles result in 10, 20 extra yards instead of zone where everything's underneath and you just play defense. I think that may be like part of my criticism here. It feels like everyone on the defense, like individually, like wants to be the one to punch it out, wants to be the one to make a play. And in that
I
regard,
can agree with.
You kind of end up, and that doesn't happen against an Iowa or a Western Michigan or a Marshall. Everyone just kind of does their thing. And though there wasn't a defensive player of the game given out against Marshall because they thought no one deserved it, everyone kind of trusts the guy around them a little bit more than they do in those big games. And when you kind of start thinking about how you're going to play versus the scheme and buying into that, though there are problems with the scheme, I will fully admit that, and fully, like, Jim Knowles is on my hot seat for sure. When you have all these guys suddenly trying to make the one big play to win the game, you're going to make some more mental mistakes. You're going to get beat a little bit more often. You're going to give up some bigger plays. So just that kind of, back to that lack of composure we talked about on the defensive side of the ball, is inexcusable at this point. We bring back a very senior veteran group, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
That's what hurts the most. I agree.
Yes. So time to nut up. Like like you said, 8-point differential in those last 3 games against those opponents. When is it going to end? It has to end eventually. We're going sick over it. I don't know why we care so much. It makes me sick in the head to just look at all these stats. It's been a rough couple days, but we'll see where you go from here. You got a tough schedule. You got a tough schedule for the rest of the way out. And I hope Nebraska catches those anger strays, because we need to show people that we're not just going to roll over. It seems like we've rolled over in the past. After losing to Michigan last year, we looked like shit against Mizzou. You got a tough rest of the season here. So
My
I'm nervous. I'm nervous
my
that the
main
pain continues to persist.
My main concern moving forward, I will say, which definitely got hidden in the bad loss and the slide and the touchdowns, my main concern, actually, personally, moving forward, is the status of what the O line is right now.
Yeah, that's bad.
Josh Simons is out for the year. He's a bona fide stud. He was a Big Ten player. He was up for All American. He was having an incredible season. When they would run to the left, I mean, Travion and Q were getting 20 yards, I felt like, at a carry. And he's
Yeah.
out for the year now. And then at the moment, our right guard was out. He came back in, but at the moment, our right guard was also out when he got hurt first. We had 2 linemen go down in about a span of like 10 plays.
Yep.
And at that moment, I remember one thing I was going to say, but at that moment in time, we had Simmons out and the right guard out. And we had one play incomplete. Then we ended up completing 2 passes. I think we ended up on a field goal on this drive. But the first 2 plays, there was no blocking. I looked at Moops and I was like, holy shit, like we transported back to the Mizzou game. Like that's what the O-line looked like for a second.
Yeah.
It was still very late in the game. The O-line settled. It didn't matter. They did have 1 sack on that last drive, but at the end of the day, like, was much better than I was expecting. I was expecting like to be disgustingly bad. They were fine. Travion still had some good runs. Q struggled. I felt like he did not look himself.
Yep.
I think it was 10 for like 20. My biggest concern, or not my concern, but the series of the game, I thought, which I thought was perfect other than the ending, was Ohio State gets the ball back in the 4th quarter. At the time, it is 29-28 Oregon. It's the 4th quarter, and Ohio State goes on a 7-minute, 20-second drive. Beautiful drive. That's how you eat the clock, and they end up with 3. Those kind of drives that where you waste the clock, you've ticked away time, ending with 3 is just so heartbreaking after getting all the way down there. There were some mistakes on that drive. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but we got all the way down to the Oregon 22, which I guess the Oregon 22 now is going to be our cursed yardage sign. But that was bad. That sucked. But outside of that, they got Nebraska coming up. They got Penn State. Then they have hopefully a couple weeks where they can just take care of business with Northwestern. And who else do we play? It's bye week, Nebraska, Penn State. Then the next weekend is
Indiana.
Purdue at home.
Purdue, yeah.
Northwestern on the road, or neutral site. Northwestern neutral site. Home for Indiana, home for Michigan. So, I mean, they have some games to matter. We control our own destiny, though. You win out, you win in Indy. I would be shocked. Now, this is also if Texas wins this weekend against Georgia, if they beat Georgia this weekend, and they win the SEC, they're going to be the number 1 seed. But
for sure,
if Georgia wins and Ohio State wins out and they win the rematch against Oregon in the Big Ten game, I think it's very hard to say we're not the number 1 overall team in the nation. I don't. We didn't get embarrassed. It wasn't a back and forth with Oregon. It was a defensive kind of back and forth the second half. It was 10-10 in the second half. 10-10. Yeah. Both teams kind of settled. But you control your destiny. If we win out, if we get a rematch with Oregon, I think we're going to be the number 1 seed, number 2 seed. But now they're playing with their backs against the wall, and we're going to see. Usually, I feel like we don't have our backs against the wall. We're kind of, with the 14 playoff, the last couple of years, we've been praying and hoping that other teams can win, lose, etc., to get into that dance. Now I think we still control our destiny. I think we're going to come out. I'm not writing the Buckeyes off yet. I'm definitely sad. I'm definitely depressed. But I think they're going to be okay. Again, I trust the offense with my life. Until Kyle McCord, or Jesus, he's fucking got in my head. Until Will Howard and the offense starts stalling at a rapid pace, I won't be concerned. It's like you said, it's the sacks, it's the pressures, it's the defense not forcing turnovers, stuff like that, getting burnt. That's the concern. something to work on. They're probably not practicing till Thursday this week, I would say. They're going to get back to it, get back Nebraska, and let's see. There's a lot of games left to be played, and a lot of good games outside looking forward, I will say, especially this weekend. A lot of games that still matter, in my opinion. Rest of the weekend, next coming weekend, we have Nebraska, Indiana, big game. Bama, Tennessee, big game. Michigan, Illinois, big game. Georgia, Texas, big game. So like a lot of games that have playoff implications. It was just the Big Ten's turn to have one of these games. The SEC did it a couple weeks ago. The Big Ten had their turn, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah, not going to write off the Buckeyes. Like you said, we do control our own destiny, but I think some of those horrible foundational issues that we have had over the last couple of years are still there. There's still time to correct it. We have time to figure it out, but I could talk about it all day, but I think we should probably look at some other games too.
The last thing I'll say, I've always been one, I feel like, versus others to defend Ryan Day longer than others. I feel like every year I've defended him. I feel like growing up as a Cowboys fan, you've been taught that you just have to like ride out these average coaches. But I don't think Ryan Day is an average coach. That was his first non-Michigan Big Ten loss. That's a great stat. That's a great stat. That's a great stat.
Don't care.
Stat. But here's the thing with Ryan Day, and this is what I think 98% of Buckeye fans don't understand. If Ryan Day, if he's not good enough, who are you getting to replace Ryan Day?
Coach Prime.
No. Coach Prime can't beat Kansas State. You want him to play in these games? Who are you getting? Who are you getting to replace Ryan Day?
No, I don't know.
You can't go with Chip Kelly. You can't get Chip Kelly. You wouldn't promote him because he said he hates NIL and he hates recruiting. You can't get him. Brian Hartline, we really don't know much about him other than his wide receivers. That's it. He's never been the main OC. He's never led a team. We don't know. We really don't. He recruits well. How does he recruit the defense? How does he keep the staff around? Who else you get? You're not bringing Urban back. Move on. Everybody needs to move on. Urban's not coming back. You're not getting Nick Saban out of retirement. Move on. You're not getting Bill Belichick. Move on. If you think that NFL-style coaches, if people believe that Mike Vrabel is a real opportunity, they're crazy. Mike Vrabel,
not a head coach, no.
He's not. Unfortunately, he's not. Those NFL guys want no part of 18-year-olds having a say in millions of dollars. That's the truth. People don't want to hear it, but that's the truth. Ryan Day is the guy for the job. I'm willing to bet the stake of this podcast on it that Ryan Day is the guy for this job. I think he's going to come out. This is going to be the year where he shows it. I'm telling you, I think the Ryan Day hate is deserved. I think he earns every bit of it, but Ryan Day has never been the defensive coordinator. Ryan Day has never controlled the defense until the offense falters in one of these games, which they haven't. And don't give me the Mizzou game offense faltered with no Marv and we were on a third string quarterback who never taken a snap. Don't give me that crap. Until the offense falters, until recruiting stops in a top 10, that's when there's concern. If we want to be Michigan, fire Ryan Day. That's the truth. If we want to be Michigan, fire Ryan Day and you enjoy how it's happening over there. And I don't think enough people understand that.
We'll leave it at that. Fine. Well, one more comment. 1-8 in those games. There could have been no head coach on the sideline for half of those Big Ten games. We would have won. 1-8 in the games that matter is a problem. He's improving. He looked better this year. He's not punting on 4th and 1 at the 50-yard line like he has in the past.
He's done everything we've asked.
We got to figure out the defense. You got to fire the defensive coordinator. He's a head coach, CEO. Cut your losses. It's on the defense. It's been on the defense, but a blind monkey could have won the rest of the Big Ten schedule for most of his tenure at Ohio State. On to Penn State, USC. God damn it! One of two teams in the Big Ten to have won their game when traveling 2 or more time zones. I forgot who the other one was. I think it may have been Washington, Michigan, perhaps.
Yeah. Because wait, that was at Washington, was it not?
Alas, Penn State takes out USC in overtime, 33-30. USC, Joel Klatt said it today. They're the best 3-3 team in the country. They're currently unranked. I think they were as high as number 11 at one point this season. So it's an unranked win, but still a very big win for James Franklin, which I think they're just really looking for a reason to keep him in the media at that point. But still actually a big win. Shout out to number 44. I don't know his name.
Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren, just a white guy in number 44 for Penn State, just center mossing people, just looks Big Ten as fuck. So that was pretty electric. That was the game wrapping up right before the Ohio State game started. Drew Aller throws the ball 43 times. Personally, I'm not worried about Penn State, but a good win for them to keep them in the top 5 rankings and undefeated.
I think there's definitely not something to overlook. We do have their number. I completely forgot about today that we're not going to be their whiteout game, which definitely settled me down a little. I got reminded of it. I got reminded today that we're not their whiteout game. But like I've been saying for weeks, and it looks like it won't happen because the Bears are 4-2, which we'll get into a little later. But another game Lincoln Riley loses. You talk about a guy who can't win a big game. That guy can't win a big game. He has never won a big game. He has no playoff wins. He has Heisman quarterbacks every year almost. This is his first year, and I think 6 years without a Heisman contending quarterback. 6 years.
That's crazy.
And he's never won a playoff game. He's done okay in Red River. He's been nothing but mediocre since he's gotten to USC. He is out of his comfort zone, and those USC boosters are angry. He can't win these games. It's disgusting to see. It's funny to see, but he's the guy everyone. I mean, like talk about like. And that's the thing. Like when we talk about Ryan Day, we talk about Lincoln Riley. Like Kirby Smart was not good for a long time. A long time. Nick Saban had his number.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, Kirby Smart won his titles. He got through. He punched through. And it punched a Mississippi State player this weekend. But he punched. Yeah, but he did punch through. So Penn State, they are a good team. I think they definitely have some flaws. You're absolutely right. If Drew Aller throws the ball that many times against us, I'm going to lose my shit. Fucking crush them. I think we still can beat them. I think they're not better than us, but I definitely don't think they should be overlooked.
No, I think that's fair. I think we need to get off after the quarterback a little bit. If they want to try and have Drew Aller beat us, be my guest. I don't think he's good enough to. He looked absolutely lost against us last year. Cover number 44, I think is the key to the game for Ohio State in a couple weeks, but they're not someone to overlook, but I'm not too worried about them. I'd like to see USC get a couple more wins. I think their time in the playoff is definitely out for this year, but still a couple big games. Notre Dame still left on their schedule to wrap up the year. I'm not sure how old Miller Moss is, if he's planning on being their starter for next year.
I think he's done, yeah.
He's done, but USC has been an interesting addition to the Big Ten. Maybe not exactly in the tier of Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, but right up there. Could shake things up for the playoff implication moving forward. 3-3 is tough, especially for a Lincoln Riley who's possibly on the hot seat. So could see a ton of turnover over there, but a hell of a game nonetheless. Overtime, big program on the road. Good win for James Franklin and the Nittany Lions.
And talk about a team that's riddled with plus minus bad luck. I mean, they lost on a last-second touchdown to Michigan. They lost on a field goal in overtime to Penn State. They lost in a tough, close game against Minnesota. Easily could be 6-0, but they're not. Unfortunately, that's just how the way the ball rolls, and they're going to be a good team. Let's maybe USC has a way to play spoilers somewhere else around the Big Ten. I don't think they have many games left against big teams. But other than that, the other game to look at this past weekend that was like great. I think Red River was not good. Texas crushed them, and Kansas State wasn't bad, but the other game to look at this past weekend was Ole Miss versus LSU. 29-26 final. LSU with a huge win, I thought, in overtime, beating Ole Miss. Ole Miss got a field goal, first with the ball in overtime, field goal. LSU winning touchdown, and even tied it up at 27 seconds in regulation to get it to overtime, which was crazy. Ole Miss, second loss of the year. LSU, after they lost to USC, I really thought they weren't a great team. They barely escaped South Carolina earlier in the season. And here we are now, and they get a huge win. That was massive for LSU. They're back in the race, I think, for the playoff. They were the 13 in the nation before that. I would assume they're higher now. I don't remember the full top 10, but it was a big win for Brian Kelly. One of the bigger Brian Kelly wins if I can from my history of knowing him.
Oh, for sure. I think I saw a stat today. He moves to 13-0 in his time in night games at Tiger Stadium. So wow. A big game for them. Was Ole Miss ranked for this game? I think they probably should have. Yes.
Yeah, it was 9 versus 13.
9 versus 13. Yeah. So Ole Miss with 2 losses. Sucks they lost to Kentucky. I was kind of excited to see that high-powered offense. I really do like Lane Kiffin as a play caller. I think he is a very talented, innovative offensive mind. So would have liked to see them stick around a little bit longer, but looks like they're probably on their way out for the season as well. But again, maybe they could play spoiler makers in the SEC somewhere down the line. Never want to count them out. But But yeah, I mean, hell of a game. Texas continues to look dominant, still the number one team in the country. And I invested in their future in this season as well, as I'm panicking about the Buckeyes. But some more great games to look
Coming
ahead
up,
to over the next couple weeks. So we'll list a couple that Michael has already talked about. Oregon goes to Purdue on Friday. Purdue has a record, I believe it was 19 wins against I think it was either top 5 or top 10 opponents when at home. Not 19-0, but just
wait, Purdue
19
has?
wins. Purdue has a record of not 19-0, but just has won like 17 or 19 times against either top 5 or top 10 teams when at home. So I'm not
Wow.
sure if I should be rooting for Oregon to be undefeated for the rest of the season, but short week for them, traveling at that time away, as we've seen that has been an issue in the Big Ten. Could be interesting this Friday night. Oregon is heavy favorites, but we shall see. Purdue has done crazier things in the past. Nebraska, Indiana, looking ahead over the next couple weeks for the Buckeyes. Indiana's 6.5-point favorites. I would love to see Nebraska kind of put up a fight in this game. Indiana looks to be smoking teams, like not taking any prisoners at all. But Nebraska's only 5-1. They're just outside of the top 25. So a win for them makes it pretty much ranked games for practically the rest of the season for Ohio State. So I'll definitely be tuning into that one. What else do we got?
Bama, Tennessee, one of the bigger games of the weekend. Tennessee escapes narrowly against Florida this past week. Ugly
Worried about
game.
Tennessee.
But
Worried about Tennessee.
I think Bama, you're going to see them roll. Bama should be able to come back after their disastrous Vandy weekend a couple weeks ago, and Bama I think should cover with ease personally.
2.5
Also,
for Bama, but another close win for them against South Carolina, where their defense
yes,
almost blows it up, continues to give up big plays. So Tennessee, I think, is looking more worrisome than Alabama. So I agree with you. Bama probably covers that, but Bama's looking valuable as well.
yeah, I 100% agree. Bama valuable, but yeah, very close. South Carolina almost with two very close wins. Or two very close losses, I'm sorry, this season, which is crazy to think about. Outside of that, one game is all the other two games we have left to look at. Michigan, 3-point favorites at Illinois. I think that's a big game. Honestly, I think it's a big game, honestly, just because I want to see how the game shakes out. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be. I would probably say whoever is the quarterback coming out this week. I don't want to say they're the quarterback for the rest of the season, but if it's Jack Tuttle, I think it's going to be him for the rest of the year if he
Yeah.
comes out, and especially if they win this game. But Illinois is scrappy. They've played some games. They narrowly escaped a disaster game against Purdue this weekend. They won 50-49 in overtime, but it was
Oh my
24.
God.
It was like 24-6 or something at one point. They were crushing them in the first half, so blew it in the second half. Purdue put up a huge fight. Maybe that shows something for the Oregon game, but Illinois, I think, is also not a bad pick there because it's a very good game to look at. And game of the weekend, in my opinion, another massive SEC bout, Georgia versus Texas. I think if Texas comes out and they roll Georgia, I think everybody's got to get out of the way. Texas is clear the favorite to win. If Georgia wins, I think it shows that the SEC is still good and the Big Ten is good. There are a lot of good teams. This could not be a more perfect year for the 12-team playoff.
1,000,000%. Instead of having less games in the regular season matter, they may matter a little bit less week in and week out, but there are more games in terms of quantity that
Yeah.
matter. So I love it. I have lost sleep. I've lost good sleep thinking about potential scenarios and brackets for the 12-team playoffs. So I've been very happy with it so far. But like you said, Georgia, Texas 3.5-point favorites at home. So usually the home team gets about 3 points. So just a half point more than the just home field advantage. But being in Texas, I think you got to expect Texas to try and come out and kill them. Obviously, Georgia probably to try and do the same, but I'm not shocked if Texas wins by a lot more than that. They are looking great. Doesn't matter who's out there at quarterback. They have the top 5 scoring offense and defense in the country. So like we just talked about, Ohio State offense takes care of business. Defense comes up short. Texas seems to be playing complementary football. So Texas looks great. College football is officially heartbreaking, but luckily the Buckeyes are off. Hopefully Ryan Day is sitting in a dark room and this is his Joker origin story and they never lose another game for as long as we both live. But
Now, if this is his Joker origin story, then I definitely have a problem with Ryan Day. If he hasn't already gotten that Joker origin story over the last couple years, then I have major beef with Ryan Day. But but I would hope it's not his Joker origin story.
I hope so. I'm just looking for something to make me happy. The colors were less bright today. It was a rough Monday morning. Tell the listeners what happened to you at work this morning.
Yeah, it was gonna be part of my wrong side, but I'll tell him. So we had a Teams call to start the day, like 9:30. Always like Monday, Wednesday, we have like updates just with our projects, our clients, where we're at on work. And I joined the call, and it was probably like the third or fourth one on the call. And sometimes the Monday morning ones we have cameras off. It's just kind of like nobody really wants to have it on like first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
which whatever, no big deal. But our senior manager, who texted me this weekend about the game as well, he joins the call. He says hello. We all like chit chat for a little. It's one girl on our team's birthday. We said happy birthday to him, or to her. I'm sorry. We said happy birthday to her. We talked about what she's doing tonight, and another girl what she did for her birthday last weekend. And after like it all dies down, like didn't I wasn't saying much, kind of just like waiting for my turn to talk. He goes, well, I am kind of shocked that all you guys have your cameras off, except for Michael. I wouldn't show my face either after a weekend like that. Which, yes, Ohio State was bad, and it did get me sad, but it didn't get better on Sunday. Looking ahead towards the NFL, I got embarrassed by my boss basically making fun about my camera being off because of my weekend. The NFL could not save me. I didn't think the Cowboys had any chance being in this game. I thought the Lions were a better team. I thought the game would be competitive considering last year's was competitive. A lot of starters hurt on defense. Um, Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. I haven't turned many Cowboys games off before the final whistle in my life. There haven't been many. Maybe one where like they lose on like a drive where there's 1 minute left in the game and like a turnover or like a missed kick or something. One of those I don't really count as turning it off before the final
Yeah.
whistle. But
Mhm.
this was like a turn off like in the middle of the third quarter. Like I couldn't watch it anymore. Cowboys embarrassed. Dak wasn't great. Uh, wasn't good at all, in my opinion. But again, not my number one reason to be mad at this team.
Yeah.
I did a ranking of the top 10 problems of the Cowboys season so far through 6 weeks, and Dak. I did the top 10, and Dak was number 9, and and Brandon Aubrey was number 10, and only because I had to get the 10 things. Brandon Aubrey was 10. He has nothing wrong with Brandon Aubrey, but game was embarrassing, not good. Thing was 47-9 was the final score. Disgustingly game. Stephen A, who's even the number one Cowboy hater in the world, he did the top 5 problems with the Cowboys today on Get Up, or I'm sorry, first take, and even he didn't have Dak on the top 5 problems.
Oh
So
yeah.
for someone who hates them, for someone who dogs on Dak, Dak's not the main problem. The defense is hurt. The defense is bad, 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 bad. The O line is bad. The weapons are bad. CD and Dak aren't on the same page. That's bad. Bye week this week. San Francisco next week. Good riddance. That's gonna be brutal. Um, I don't know what's worse: the double bye of no Buckeyes, no Cowboys, so I have to sulk for 2 weeks, or sulking for 2 weeks and coming back to a decent Nebraska team and a tough San Francisco Niners team on the road. But I just know for a fact, my one prediction moving forward, it's not even about the Cowboys. CMC has been like broken legs, Achilles, the whole 9 yards, not playing this weekend for Kansas City. I would be willing to bet like 75% chance he's back next week.
Are- Is the outlook looking that way? I thought he was
I
just
don't
like
know.
gone
I don't
into
know.
eternity.
I don't know. I
You're
don't
just
know.
thinking it's gonna
I don't
happen.
know. I think it's gonna happen. I don't know. There's not much to say.
There's
Bad,
not a
bad,
lot
bad.
going right for you in the sports
Yeah.
world. I guess we got a pulse check for the Cowboys. I don't know. You said a couple weeks ago you didn't think they were going to win a game for about 6 weeks. I think they
They're
took one
split. They're
away
split. They're split
with the
1-1 on the
Steelers,
6.
and then now you got the Niners. Couple tough games after that. What's the season expectations for the Cowboys? Is it the division? Is it a wild card
Don't get
playoff
hurt.
spot?
Don't get
Don't get
hurt.
hurt. Have fun. Have as much
Um,
fun as you can.
I don't think that I to be honest with you, don't I don't know even like I don't even know like what the expectations are. Like I don't even know what like they could be at this point. You're 3-3. The crazy thing is the division's not like over. I don't think there's no one
No.
that's 6-7-0. So like it's not like that's an issue. Um the only concern I have is this whatever's going on with Dak and CD, I guess. The problem is I don't think they're good enough, or I'm sorry, I don't think they're bad enough to get in the top 10 picks, and I don't think they're good
Mhm.
enough to get into a deep playoff run. And unfortunately, the last couple of years, it's felt like they were kind of in that same spot, but the vibes have been much different. I could be totally off. I could be completely wrong. We haven't had Bland and Diggs together for more than like 5 games in their career, I think, because last year Diggs gets hurt in week 2 during practice and Bland was by himself dominating. And the year before that, Bland was kind of hurt here and there. And now this year, Bland's been hurt. So we're going to hopefully have both them back, which I guess is a good sign, I would say. That's pro. Other than that, I think they have to show they have to show themselves, I think, at this point, what they are. I still don't think Dak is the problem. I really don't.
No
Like
way.
any,
Not at all.
I'm like, yeah, like 100%. Like I have the bias. 100%. You know, like 100%. I know, like I'm gonna ride for Dak. He's my quarterback. But again, I don't like Dak being bad. Like he was the least of our problems in that game. Like I saw that Zach Martin graded out at like a 0 on pass blocking yesterday. Like it was the
No.
worst game by like far of Zach Martin's career. So there's that. On the other side of things, defense is bad. The D line, they had 6 guys playing on the D line this weekend, did not play as starters in week 1. Again, injuries. You're
That's
putting things
bad.
together. So like the team is hurt. The team is not good. Nobody in that front office wants to claim they're wrong. The report came out last week that Zeke was like wanted to know why he wasn't getting carries, and I honestly believe that they were giving him carries to embarrass him. Unfortunately, that he was getting early carries and he was going nowhere, and Dowdle was nowhere to be seen. I was screaming at my TV, and to punish that, not punish. I don't know what the situation was, but like after the game Dowdle had with over 100 all-purpose yards in Pittsburgh, pretty ridiculous. I thought, pretty embarrassing. I think that there's just I don't know. Maybe Junty's a Cowboy. I don't even know if he's the guy I would pick. I think there's so many other issues. Um, my only hope is that shellacking that we watched on Sunday, that Jerry Jones may have realized that maybe Ben Johnson's the next coach, not Bill Belichick. That's my only. And if it's not Ben Johnson, that's fine. But going in that direction of somebody younger, scheming, different play calls, motion, etc. People say all the time. I think you said it weeks ago. Like imagine Dak Prescott with like a Sean McVay or a Kyle Shanahan, like something
Oh,
like
hell
that.
yeah.
Because like realistically, both those teams have not had like all their players at a time, and the Niners keep winning, the Rams keep winning. So like having a young coach, I think people are saying Belichick's going to be, the number one name on the list. I think Belichick is staying stagnant. I don't think that does anything. I think if the Cowboys were to really make a splash, my opinion would be Ben Johnson as the head coach right now. And I think you go out and get Robert Salah as a defensive coordinator. That's how you fix this team, not
That'd be big
anything
time.
else. But yeah, I think my expectations right now are to get 9-8. Don't end embarrassingly.
Wow. Sounds just like a Bears season. Yeah, I think the Lions are good. My dad's from
Yeah,
Michigan
they're
and is,
good.
is
I'm
a
not
Detroit
nothing to
fan,
take away from
but
them. They're a great team.
47 points is nasty work. Just
Yeah.
nasty work. They were coming at y'all necks. It was ugly. It was ugly. 9-8. I think the Cowboys are a dumpster fire. They're not focused on the right things. They've gotten worse over the last 3 years for sure. Maybe for the double bye week, you need to go outside, get a fall activity in, maybe go for a long walk,
Yeah.
go apple picking by yourself, go find something not football related next week.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be good for a double bye week, I think, mentally. But that's the Cowboys are doing nothing, so I don't really want to harp on a dead soldier any longer. But looking across the pond, the Bears 4-2, a huge win. I don't care. Like I said last week, I don't care if it's the Jags. Winning the NFL is hard, and that's where we're at this point. What did you think? What did you like? Had DeAndre Swift in a lineup. He played great. Rome,
Yep.
can we get my man Rome in the game? Please let him
Please.
play. But what did you think? Another week of growth, I thought.
Another week of growth. Caleb Williams and the offense continues to get better. I guess this week Shane Waldron had up on the whiteboard in offensive meetings all the things that he did wrong in the prior week. So everyone the culture seems to be getting built in such a positive direction. I cannot emphasize that enough. Though I may question Eberflus's game management and head coaching ability at times, you can't deny the team wants to play for him. Even when we were really, really bad the last 2 years, the defense would show out. When in past Bears teams, when the defense was really good, the offense sucked. there was definitely some division in the locker room to a point. But the culture is great. Caleb Williams continues to grow. DeAndre Swift continues to grow. As we said at the beginning of the season, and I definitely was in an overreaction camp at points as well. It's a ton of new faces, new coaches, new offensive coordinator. We're just getting into really the meat of the season here, and I really couldn't be happier. The defense is firing on all cylinders. The offense looks great. It's fun. It's exciting. I think me and my friends are talking about it for the first time in a long time. I think we truly root for a professional football team in our city. Previously, it was not that for a number of reasons, but Bears look good. I don't care, like you said, that it was the Panthers, that it was the Jaguars. Last year with Tyson Bagent, we beat the Panthers on, I think, Thursday Night Football. It was some BS primetime game. We beat them by 1 point. I don't think either team scored a touchdown. It was some BS. Taking care of business is extremely important, and we continue to do that. All the right things are being said by all the right guys. The leadership is impressive. DJ Moore, I'm still a little salty with him, but he seems to be coming around after catching a couple touchdowns over the last couple weeks. But Cole Kmet is our Swiss Army knife, being the long snapper and scoring 2 touchdowns. I think we're really coming together. I really had the first genuine thought today where like, maybe we could do something this year. Our division is very good. I know there's a lot of injuries kind of here in and here out for across the league anyways. And luckily we're one of the teams that is on the healthier side at the moment.
Definitely.
Also heading into the bye, so can get even better. But the Bears are damn good. They make football fun at the moment. I have been so indoctrinated by 9-8 mediocre, not professional football over my lifetime. Bears don't get me nearly as stressed out as the Buckeyes. So any positive signs I've been seeing, which have been a lot of them, have just been pure fun. So it's great to see. Lock up Caleb Williams for the next 15 years right now if you can. He looks great. The team is fun. It's exciting. I could not be happier.
Yeah, 100% hit it on the nose. Bears were fun. I only kind of watched like the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, just because I didn't get up at 6:30 to watch after Saturday night. Decided to sleep in. Felt like I didn't need to go right into football from the break of the sunrise. But I saw some highlights. He looked good. He looked confident. 4-touchdown game. Shout out to Caleb Williams. You've now tied Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields for most touchdowns in a season. It's week 6 for a rookie quarterback. So congratulations. But looking ahead, I think there's a lot to grow on. I think they're good. They're getting better. I think they have obviously their faults. What team doesn't? I don't think there's many teams other than the Chiefs that are near perfect. I think the offense will keep humming. I think they'll start to mesh a little more. I don't think Caleb is nearly as ready as like he's not perfect. He's definitely not perfect. He's still
for sure.
If you look at if you were to ask me what I thought about him in week 2, where I was very nervous after 2 weeks versus week 6, it's 2 different quarterbacks in my opinion. And that's okay. He got settled. He's realizing, okay, we don't have the best line. Let me figure out a way, get the ball out fast. Don't try to make it work. You can't play hero ball in the NFL, etc. Bye week this week will be nice. Get them back in. Basically get to, I don't even know. They might stay in London a couple of days. I really don't know the NFL rules. But looking ahead, probably the game of the season coming up for the Bears, I think. Looking ahead 2 weeks down the line. It's the rookie of the year matchup. I think a lot of people have kind of been writing Jaden, saying Jaden's legit, Jaden's the best, Jaden's better, etc. I definitely would say Jaden started much better. I would give him that.
Fine.
But other than that, I think it's very much evened out very quickly. Jaden Daniels has he played the Ravens this weekend. He played okay against them. Not great, played okay. But that's going to be a good game. 2 solid quarterbacks, 2 solid defenses, a lot of young players on offense and defense. Definitely a game to watch, something that is going to be talked about. I think it's not, I don't think it is Sunday Night Football next week. It's just a 10 a.m. game, but it's a big 10 a.m. game, and it's very exciting. I'm very excited to see it play out, and we'll see where the Bears go from there because we'll see. I'm excited. I think the Bears are in a good spot. I'm excited to go out and watch them in a couple months or in a month, but I'm excited for the Bears. I agree though. It's a completely different world where you're seeing, if the Bears were to go, let's just say 9-8 or 8-9 this season, I think you say, wow, that was actually not a bad year versus if Ohio State goes 11-1 or like 12-1 with an early playoff exit, you're going to say that was freaking miserable. I can't believe we wasted another season like that.
Yeah, and one thing I will say about Caleb Williams is he truly like plays quarterback. Justin Fields, he's Jaden Daniels. I would even go as far to say like they're athletes back there. Yeah, they can throw the ball, they can make decisions, but Caleb Williams, the way he's been able to read defense, process, make throws on time and on target, and just some of these like absolutely crazy arm slots, some of the ways we saw him throw the ball at USC, like he truly plays the position. Like might be a little Mahomey, might be a
The
little Mahomey.
the video I did, that was one of the first things I did see when I woke up, because it was in the first half, and I saw it on Twitter.
Oh no,
Was the
when he hit
play
it.
out? Yeah, that was good.
I didn't see that actual play happen, but for those of you that don't know, basically a lineman, like Caleb's in the pocket, obviously there's chaos going on around him. A lineman basically goes right across his face. Like he sees him go past him and he just hits him straight in the head with the football. It was a little weird.
uh,
There's some Madden
just
glitches
a
in real
weird
life
play,
sometimes,
but just funny
but
to think about.
still, yeah, I mean, the kid looks good. Football is fun, kind of. NFL weird, college makes me cry. Um, there's other sports going on. You want to
Yeah,
talk some baseball before we wrap it
yeah.
up?
Wrap it up before we go to clutch moment and outside the line. MLB update in the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Dodgers did advance. They beat the Padres in games 5. They did lose today, game 2 against the Mets. We're currently recording after game 2. It's 1-1 now in the series. Heading into today, the Dodgers tied the MLB record for 33 innings of scoreless baseball. They gave up a home run to Fernando Tatis in game 3 of the NLDS, making it 6-1. The Dodgers ended up losing that game 6-5. After that Tatis homer, the Padres did not score for the rest of the series of game 4 and 5.
Damn.
In the NLCS, the Mets did not score in game 1. The 33 inning is tied the MLB record of scoreless innings in a playoff, and then was broken on the first batter of game 2 with a leadoff home run by Lindor. Mets won 7-3 today, tied up the series 1-1. On the AL side of things, Cleveland comes out with a gritty game 5 win against Detroit. Lane Thomas with a huge grand slam sends them to the ALCS, a rematch with New York. The two teams have seen each other more than not in the playoffs over the last decade, I would say. I learned a good stat from Moops this weekend that Progressive Field, where the Guardians play, has played the 4th most playoff games in that stadium, behind Wrigley, Fenway, and Dodger Stadium. Kind of a cool
Wow.
stat.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, just those franchises versus Cleveland, pretty cool. Yankees took game 1, 1-0 in that series. I know there's a lot of wrong side members in this. We got Moops and Stein facing off. I'm definitely rooting for the Mets. I hope the Dodgers do not win. I hope the Dodgers lose. It kind of sucks that they got even this far. I don't want Shohei to get to the World Series. On the AL side of things, Cleveland will have to step it up. They got into a hole early today. Unfortunately, had to go to their bullpen. Didn't use their main guys, but going to be a good series. I think both series have a chance to go 6-7 games. We'll see. I think Manfred right now has every jersey on but the Guardians. I don't think he wants Cleveland in the World Series, but I'm rooting for Cleveland. So I'm rooting for Cleveland, and I'm rooting for the Mets. There's good baseball. Have you watched them?
A little bit. I mean, the pitchers, at least in the Cleveland game to start out, were insane. There's a lot of stud pitchers in and out.
Yeah,
I'm kind of drawn to the Yankees just because they're the Yankees. I don't want the Dodgers to win, so
sure.
trying to take a look at New York, and Judge continues to falter. It looked like saw him strike out a couple times today. I don't know how that game exactly ended, if he was able to make more of an impact, but I saw Rizzo had a hit today, so
He did. He
hopefully
back from
they
injury.
they yes, they mentioned the Cubs World Series run, so maybe he'll be able to make an impact against Cleveland. I definitely want the Mets to win on that side, but Moops and some of our other Cleveland fans have been holding the World Series against me since I met them, so it is kind of funny for me to watch them lose at times. So I root for chaos on the AL side. So we'll see how it goes. It's nothing like playoff baseball. The environment is
Yeah,
electric. Been drawn into it more. People have been showing up, the pitchers especially. So we'll see who's able to kind of bust the floodgates open at times. Today it was the Mets putting up 7 runs. It was 6-0 in pretty much the blink of an eye. So we're getting down to the wire. Basketball is about to start. Football,
Yeah.
sadly, football. I'm not thinking about college football for the next
No,
couple weeks,
no.
at least until Saturday. So
I will say, moving
sports.
forward in this series, definitely going to be interesting to see how the Mets handle the rest of the series. They have Severino going game 3. I know the Dodgers are throwing Yamamoto. Kind of crazy to me how much, I've watched a lot of baseball in my life, growing up playing baseball, watching a lot of baseball being my favorite sport. Kind of just crazy to me now being 24 or almost 24 years old, just seeing how much the game has changed. It used to be 7 innings, 8 innings from your guys in the playoffs. Maybe in the playoffs, it's 5, 6 innings. You got to get to the bullpen. Now it's like one time through the order. There's bullpen games in the playoffs. Just crazy to see how much the game has changed so much.
Yeah.
Right now, we're on the train tracks to a potential either rematch of the 2000 World Series, Subway Series, Mets Yankees. We're on a chance to potentially have arguably the most historic franchises in baseball, Dodgers, Yankees, or Mets Cleveland. I think Mets Cleveland also is a great storyline because of the Francisco Lindor trade and all the players impacting there. I think that obviously might not be what the networks want, but I think the baseball in that would be just as good as any other series. I hope Cleveland's not out of it. They're a good team. They're a young team. They've really showed out, especially after last season. But right now, I want Cleveland to win. I want Mets to win, but I don't know the way it's looking right now. It's going to be Dodgers Yankees, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see in a week or so when the series are over. But wrapping that up, we're going to kick it to our ad read real quick and clutch moment of the week.
Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, big enough to serve you and small enough to know you, serving Southern California since 1970. See Stan, he'll help you out. Michael, who is your clutch moment of the week?
My clutch moment of the week goes out to a complaint I had about the NFL a couple weeks ago, just the way they tweet, the way they act. Podcasters now, the entire league is podcasters. But the NBA, in the process of passing a new rule before tip-off next week, that from tip-off to the end of the game, and it's being discussed for the end of media sessions after each individual game, NBA players are not allowed to touch their phones or use their phones. Thought it was funny. I also don't know how they're going to track that. I guess there might be an NBA official in there, but kind of funny to see that being in the rules. So clutch one of the week NBA, avoiding the burner accounts, avoiding the bitch talking of fans to players, trying to avoid all that. I really appreciated that. So that's my clutch moment of the week. How about you?
That's awesome. I think that would be huge. I'm tired of the podcast boys and tweets at halftime. My clutch moment of the week, more looking on the field, goes out to Cole Kmet. I mentioned he's the Swiss Army knife when we were talking about the Bears, but he had said on his podcast last week or the week before that he was actually the backup long snapper for the team. For those of you that don't know, the long snapper, some of the longest careers in the NFL. So maybe when he's done being an average tight end, he can transfer down to being a long snapper. But he had said Pat Scales is our usual long snapper. When he's in the game, Cole Kmet's always checking on him and making sure he's looking good, because snapping, like, yes, you are kind of protected based on some of the rules on field goals and PAT, stuff like that, but you can't mess it up. That's points off the board if you don't do your job. So it is a very important, very precise job. Pat Scales goes down for the London game. So Cole Kmet had to step in, had 2 touchdowns on the day, as well as some actually very good, very just seamless snaps to keep the kicking game moving. So shout out Cole Kmet for being a football guy and being the next man up and doing what is asked of him to help the team secure a win.
Love it. Wrapping up now with Outside the Line, starting off with Tone Deaf Person of the Week. Who do you got?
Mine has to go out to both Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions and Jordan Lewis of the Dallas Cowboys. As we have talked about, the Dallas Cowboys got fucking mollywopped by the Lions over the weekend. I guess there had been some beef. I'm not sure if it had been prior to the game, just leading up to the game, or in games in the past years, but Amon-Ra St. Brown has his own little bitchy podcast too, where he walks around trying to say USC is wide receiver U and all this BS. I am not an Amon-Ra St. Brown fan. I think he's overrated. I think he is corny. I think he's obnoxious as fuck. Started posting screenshots of his DMs with Jordan Lewis, a DB on the Cowboys, who also, if you're Jordan Lewis, tone deaf for talking shit after getting fucking blown out.
50 burger.
Like that, like 50 burger is just fucking brutal. And Amon-Ra St. Brown posting that is corny. It's bitchy. It's just shut the fuck up. I hate that. And it just made no sense. I thought it was very tone deaf, and I hate Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Both of them put the fries in the bag. Uh,
Please.
no, yeah, I think it started last year, and he said it last week on his podcast that Jordan Lewis was a shit talker last season when they played each other, and then they lost. They got crushed. Amon-Ra actually, surprisingly, after all those points, he only had one touchdown. Like, really wasn't involved that much, surprisingly.
I don't like him.
But Jordan Lewis still DM'd him after, "You still a bitch." And I'm like, oh my god, like, how are you saying anything? Shut your
No.
mouth. Shut your mouth. Like, just so pathetic, so embarrassing. But yeah, very tone deaf. My tone deaf, kind of sticking with the theme of it coming back soon, is the NBA. Mine are two NBA players specifically, Devin Booker and LeBron James. LeBron James tweeting last week, "Why are we going to Milwaukee for a playoff game?" Because you go to different cities for playoff for game. I'm sorry, not for playoff games, for a preseason game, because you're LeBron James. A, B, it's preseason and you're gonna play millions of dollars. C, you barely freaking played in Milwaukee. Don't give me that crap. And D, Milwaukee just came to play LA last preseason. They just came to us. So like you just don't. So not every preseason game's at home. Like, should we ridiculous? So tone deaf. You're 22 and not knowing
Unk.
and not knowing how the preseason scheduling works. And Devin Booker, this one was more tone deaf, I thought. The Suns played the Pistons in I don't know the name of the stadium, but it's at MSU's arena in
Mm.
East Lansing, and great event, cool NBA game at a college stadium, very fun. Devin Booker's from the Michigan area. He always reps the Lions, the Tigers, etc. And in the post-game interview, they asked him, what did it feel like to playing at Michigan State, being here again, being back home in Michigan, your family was here, etc. And he said, I really love Michigan State. I've always loved Michigan State. I've grown up loving Michigan State. I always wanted to be a Spartan. I wish I was a Spartan. I wish it worked out. I did some digging on my own because I was thinking, man, a guy from Kentucky, like Kentucky's a good program. Michigan State's always been a
Right.
good program. You would think they kind of run in the same circles of recruiting. So I did my own research, and on August 5th, 2012, MSU offered Devin Booker. And on April 24th of 2013, UK offered Devin Booker, and he decided to play at UK. So he had the chance to play at MSU, went on an official visit to MSU, didn't go to MSU, and now saying he really wished he was. Maybe there was some bad Coach Cal beef now after he was one and done, so not much happened there. But Devin Booker and LeBron James, tone deaf NBA players.
Basketball players somehow are always the people who just like say things to say them. Like I feel like football
Unbelievable.
players, baseball players don't get caught in these lies as much as basketball
Yeah.
players do. Which NBA is the most entertaining like league. Like not
This league.
necessarily
Yeah,
the
they're the most
game.
this league. Yeah.
They're the most this league sport there is. I'm looking forward to the NBA. I like following all those storylines. So
Lonzo's playing this
Lonzo's
week.
back for back for the Bulls. So we'll be looking forward to some more NBA coverage to hopefully turn down the pain of just one game a week for football, a couple games a week for
Definitely.
NBA.
More
Might straighten us
problems
out a
throughout the
little bit.
week. Yes, you're absolutely right. Wrapping up now, wrong side, right side. What do you got?
I'll start with my wrong side because we were kind of just talking about it. I can't get over myself. It's me. I am wrong side. I've always been wrong side. That's why we're sitting here. I just said I need multiple games a week to turn over my sadness faster. I don't understand why in these big games, like I just get so mad. I care too much. I should basically be on the field. I was nothing more than a JV superhero in fucking high school. What the fuck am I doing? Why do I care so much? Why am I suffering? Why am I just laying in bed staring at the ceiling on a Monday over 18-year-olds? At this point, I'm older than they are. So it's just fucking sad. I'm wrong side. Aside from the fucking game, just me being me, I'm wrestling. I'm staring. It's time to look yourself in the mirror. It's time to
Yeah.
look yourself in the mirror, which is just a bad sign. I'm upset that I can't get over it. Luckily, the Bears, I've never gotten that jacked up about NFL just because the Bears have always been super average. But I guess pressure is a privilege, some may say, but I'm going crazy. It's hard to be a winner. I am not a winner, and it's bad. I'm in bad sorts to start out the week. That's my
Yeah.
wrong side.
I'll piggyback on that wrong side. Mine was mental health regarding sports. I talked about the team's call today, the bullies. The people are bullies,
Yeah.
A. Um,
My phone is blowing up. As I was
Yeah,
storming
and
home from the bar by
that's the
myself.
thing. That's the thing. With all the
Ugh.
when you go to a good school, when you like a good team, etc. Like the Cowboys, for example, aren't good, but they're a known team. Everybody hates them for no reason. They haven't been good in 30 something years. But when your team loses, that's one of those teams where when Ohio State or the Cowboys or the Bears, when your team loses, people are going to let you know. People come out of the
Yeah.
woodworks. People love coming out of the woodworks. And Meg always likes to joke about how like she won't talk to someone for a year. a year. And then all of a sudden we lose to Michigan and boom, she's getting 3 texts. LOL, can't believe that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. People love to see the big dogs fail. And that's what sucks. And yeah, I mean, for me, like I've never been an angry, destructive fan where I get upset. I want to like punch someone or do something. Personally, not me. But I'm a sulk and sorrow kind of fan. Where like when they lost on Saturday, I went on my phone and like was around people at my house and just like sat in silence for like an hour. I just get sad. And like I was making fun Sunday morning, texting Meg saying like, I just can't believe it happened. Like when those games happen, they don't really happen often for Cowboys other than like the playoffs for me. It really happens for Ohio State more where it feels like this because I think just the game matters more week to week because like there's rankings, there's playoffs, you have to get ranked, and there's no divisions, etc. And I was making fun on Sunday. I was like, I was like, just sucks. Like I can't believe we lost. Feels like a nightmare. And she was like, you have to realize like she was trying to like pull me back down to earth. Like, it's okay. It's just sports. Like I was sad too. I'm upset too, etc. Can't put all our eggs in one basket. And I was like, you're right. I can't let like teenagers decide my happiness. So I'm going to shift to grown men doing it on Sundays. And then like that happened. So you're right. Like it's not so much knowledge as a burden, but like fandom. Like, people say like, I've never been one to say this, but a lot of people hate like we won, we lost, like we won, a lot of people hate that. That's a hot topic. A lot of people, first of all, there's no them without us. There's no team without us. There's no team without the fans. Not specifically just me and you, but like fans in general. There's no fans. There's no team without the fans.
Which me and you.
So we are them. We are them. We are them. And it's not like, it's one thing for me to like the Cowboys. We're like, yeah, I'm not from Dallas. My dad liked them growing up. I like them. So that I get it, whatever. But I went to Ohio State. It is we. I went there. We paid the money. We went to school. We took the classes. We bought tickets. Like we did all that. So we lost.
Hell yeah.
So like we lost, and it sucks carrying that much. I wish I didn't. It sucks now when we're like 23, 24, etc. and it hurts. It's gonna really like yeah, maybe you're joking like, oh, look yourself in the mirror, but like I'm very concerned for like 20 years down the line when I'm like 44 and some 18-year-old who I have no idea who's probably in kindergarten right now is like ruining my life. Like that's going to be when it's hurt. Like that's when I'm going to be like, I hope I can figure it out before then. Yeah. And like my parents made fun. They were like, you're going to have a long life if you keep caring this much. And it's not that I'm caring this much. Just like there aren't many things I'm this interested in.
No.
To give that much effort. Like when I give something effort, I'm going to give it fully. So now that I'm sad, like I'm going to be sad. Like Cowboys lost yesterday. I went upstairs, just laid in bed, like tried to take a nap, just laid on my phone for an hour. I was trying to mute. My muted words are insane. Like I was spelling Buckeyes 17 different ways to get it off my feed. So I was like, just ridiculous. So yeah, caring too much is my wrong side. But wrapping up with my right side, officially 1 month till Chicago, 1 month till I'm there. I'm excited for that. That I didn't have many right sides, so I had to dig deep for this one, but I am excited for that. That is my right side. I'm excited to be there. Bears, Packers, Buckeyes, Northwestern. So I'm excited for that. That's my wrong side. How about you?
Very much looking forward to it. My right side, kind of a slanted right side in the same regard of I care too much and I'm too focused on stupid teenagers. We're recording this on Monday night. As I've talked about before, I'm working on transitioning to a new role at my same company. A lot of work on the plate, a lot of stuff to do. I was able to have a very focused and locked in Monday morning because I was too sad and didn't want to go on my phone at all. So right side, productivity out of spite towards myself and the team. Yeah, that was my right side. We'll live. I think we need to meditate. We need to go out, maybe hit the gym a little bit harder this week. Get better for the Buckeyes. If they can get better during the bye week, we can too. We need to set the tone for the Buckeyes. I'm gonna start tagging Ryan Day in my workout videos. Figure it out.
Just in case you need a linebacker, coach. Just in case you need a linebacker.
Or a water boy. I'll just do like the carries like up and down the gym. Like I'll do whatever it takes to help this team. And another thing I was saying to our friend Derek, him and I will just text each other. Like it'll be like 5 hours and be like, I can't believe that play just happened.
I will say the funniest thing about this whole weekend was wrong side group chat. Obviously West Coast, East Coast time difference. So I woke up at like 7:45, 8 o'clock on Sunday. From 5:30 in the morning California time to 8 o'clock California time, it was just Bino and Stein trading messages about something. It's periodically Boogs, Moose once or twice, just them for 3 hours. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm so happy I was asleep. But we'll get better. We will live. Everything will be okay. Thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Have a great week.
Stay blessed.